At University of Dayton Center for Online Learning, we strive to create learning experiences that are meaningful, holistic, and provide resources to educate the whole person, regardless of the modality, fully asynchronous, hybrid, or just the online component to an in-person class. We can't do that without partnering with our school community, working with our instructors and students to build courses that mean something. Our powerhouse tool at the Center for Online Learning is our LMS, Isidore, which is actually our iteration of the open source LMS Sakai. Within Isidore, we have the freedom to program any tools and features that the university might need, and then we can send those features out to the global community of schools also using Sakai, and they can share their features with us too. Part of this means that new areas of Isidore are being created and maintained all the time, and some of the language in those areas is only supported in English. We decided to partner with our Spanish and French language programs at UD to develop an experiential learning project in which students do real-life technical translations and work through the problem-solving process that is translating a real product. In the end, our campus learning community, the global Sakai community, and the students all benefited from the work that happened over the semester. We plan to repeat this project until all of the translations are completed and many classes of students have been able to gain this technical translation experience.
It's very important to see for students that something that they're majoring in is actually for a purpose. They can use it for something in the real world. It can have an impact on other people besides, being a paper that they write for the professor grades it and nobody else ever will read it or nobody else will ever see it. So I think it's great for them to see, look what you could do with language, look what you could maybe do in the future in your job, what you could use language skills for, right? I think sometimes people that study languages, students that get into languages don't really know, and what can I do if I don't want to go abroad? Like, what else could I do?
I was super excited about this project because as somebody that's kind of used Isidore and Sakai in French a little bit, seeing it expand and be more accessible for people in the global community is really exciting.
Translation, interpretation, all those kind of things are things that I will be having to do in my job, so I found it as, an application before I would go out and be getting paid for it in the real world. So a bit of experience here in a learning environment definitely made it better.
There's some things that don't directly translate. So I think that, and I hadn't really taken a class specifically in translation before, so kind of having to flip the mindset of I'm not translating words, I'm translating an idea, and framing it so someone who needs to follow directions would be able to follow those directions rather than just understand the words that are there. I think that once I was able to better understand how to do that and was able to explore where the different buttons were and what I would need to know to be able to use them effectively, that really helped me be able to be better at doing the translations.
They knew it was a very informal process. They could talk, they could ask me, they could ask each other, they could just, shout it out in the room. Is that a good translation? What do you all say for student athlete or something? And so they felt like they were in this together, they were working together. So I saw that early on they were intimidated and that disappeared. And then they had kind of this sense of ownership and they were working on it and they knew how it worked. And I think they just felt much more comfortable.
That at first it was a little daunting because I don't think I have too much of a technical background, but it gave me a bit more of an introduction into using that kind of jargon.
We worked on this pretty much exclusively in class, so it was really nice to be able to collaborate with everyone and hear different ways of how people would explain certain things in French.
Language is critical thinking. It's how do I employ this where, and that has been the entire basis of this translation project is knowing context, so I feel that it's definitely fomented that.